After a brilliant race in Coda where we saw Ferrari win 1-2, Lawson's first racing comeback, and Max and Lando fighting the battle amid, we didn't have to wait long for the next installment in the season, which puts us in Mexico. Now admittedly, this isn't the best track for racing, which is a shame, but there have been many dramatic moments produced in this track, like in 2017 with Max killing Lewis and Sed, in 2018 where he did it again, and in 2023 with Checo being embarrassed in front of his own people. So at the very least, there should be at least something happening this weekend. So was there? Was this weekend good for racing and all those other bits? Well, my word, this might be the worst thing I've ever seen. The race was good, don't get me wrong, but the driving by certain individuals, yikes man. So now that Mexico is done with, we look forward to the Brazilian Grand Prix, which is another sprint weekend unfortunately, but if it's anything like Coda, then brace yourselves everyone. The head loss by fans will become unstoppable. So as always, let us recap the weekend and judge the winners and losers from here. But before we go any further, I want to give a quick shout out to all members of the flock. And if you haven't joined yet, I would really appreciate it if you did, since it would greatly help me out. Plus, you guys get cool benefits. And remember to join the Discord where we react to these races live. So subscribe if you are new if you want to see a duck give lukewarm takes. So enough yapping, and here are my winners and losers from the Mexican Grand Prix. So the weekend recap, and we first start with everyone already at each other's throats. Oh, how I love this sport. Anyways, we have Helmut Marko lying for the billionth time about their seats, and this time, his unfortunate target was Oscar Pastry, and Oscar, being the GOAT he is, clapped back by basically saying that he's annoying. GOAT things. You of course also had Lando and Max sharing some back and forth comments in the press conferences, but at least Ferrari were happy since Leclerc walked in the paddock looking like this, and all I'm gonna say is, hear me out chat, no, just please hear me out. Anyways, FP1 time, and we saw many new faces like Ollie in the Ferrari, Kimi in the Merc, Porsche's killer in the Sauber, IndyCar driver who still thinks he has a chance with McLaren in the McLaren, and the Brazilian slave for Lex Luthor in the Aston Martin. Aside from that though, FP1 would be strangely eventful since we had crashes, engine DNFs, and battles for positions. Firstly, Alex Albon is officially a fraud, and his next actions will determine his freedom. Dude spun on the curb and blamed Ollie for it. Like, even if the dirty air was that bad, that's still skill issue, man. Like, just yikers. Anyways, Max also had an engine DNF, and this could be very interesting since just imagine that the race has him DNFing due to engine and Lando cuts back massively. And of course, we also have Max again. This time he's fighting with Sainz for position, and if things are this heated already, I fear for the race. Anyways, FP2 would see it extended due to tire test, and usually the teams would run programs that prioritize the car and driver, but in true terrorist fashion, that blew up right in their faces for Mercedes, since George fumbled like the fumbler fumbles yet again. Real talk though, it looked really painful since he was gripping his ribcage, so let's hope for his safety. Anyways, Max yet again had an engine DNF, and sound the alarms. I'm calling it now, but he will not get the dub and will in fact get P7 instead. Anyways, not much else in the session, so FP3 time and nothing literally happened. So in Q1, we would have a weird pecking order since this seemed really driver dependent, and it showed since not only did Colapinto get out, not only did Oscar Pastry get out, but the man himself, Sergio Perez, got out in his own backyard. Yikes, man. Q2 would be less eventful until the literal last 10 seconds where Yuki crashed in the barrier after looking very fast. So now we have a mix-up Q3, and the pole winner would be the Chile man himself after it looked really obvious that Norris would get pole. Welcome back, Fodler. Anyways, after such an exciting quali, surely the race will be exciting too. So let's start with lap 1, and we're already under safety car. Yikes. Alex, you ain't ever being the allegations. Anyways, back to green, and what is going on? Did Osama bin Laden come from hell to possess Max like Stinkmeaner from the Boondocks? My word, right when I make a video saying how the rules enable dirty racing, Max goes dirtier, and thankfully, this time he gets penalized hard for it, so much so that bro got a whole ass mugshot. Like, you know how crazy that is? We need permanent stewards so that racing like this always gets penalized, since for the pinnacle of motorsport to have racing like that, it's extremely embarrassing. Anyways, Ferrari are now 1-2, and Leclerc nearly binned it. Great. Anyways, Carlos Sainz would win his final race for Ferrari most likely, and it was a great win just like last week. And guess what? We are second in the constructors now. Oh yeah, it is coming home. Anyways, we now have the winners and losers, and as always, losers first, and we first have Perez. Man, this doesn't even feel good. It just feels sad. Like you are at your home race, brother, yet you pull off a stinker so stinky that people can't even troll. All they could do is just feel sad. Like if this was any other race, we would be trolling, but this is his own home race, his land, and he performs like that? Yikers. What makes it worse is that Max is driving the wheels off the car. Like, I understand, the Red Bull car ain't exactly hot right now, but still, my word, the least you can do is be in the midfield or something like that. Like, you know it's bad when a frickin' Sauber out qualifies you and you fight him for half of the race. My goodness me. Plus, the race wasn't exactly too crazy either, which wasn't helped by the false start penalty, so again, just sad. And speaking of sad, next up is Piastri, and oh my days, right when everyone says, hey, he's been really good so far, he's been in Q3 all season long, what happens? He gets knocked out for 2 weekends in a row. Like, not only has Piastri been getting beat recently by Lando, he's been getting beat pretty bad, like in ways never before seen. All we gotta hope for is that he gets his dog back and can cook again instead of being the dishwasher, but he did have a decent race, so fair play to him. What also makes it worse is that with the Ferrari boys being so close and consistent, McLaren desperately needs him always there with Lando with no brakes, and who knows, maybe Ferrari will win the constructors. Gee, I wonder who made a video detailing how that can happen. Next up, we have Aston Martin, and wow, no way, they were disappointing. To be fair, Alonso wasn't that bad, but was caught out by Yuki's red flag and did engine DNF, but he who shall not be named, yeah. I mean, again, to be fair, they at least were close, which was in P14 and P15, but you gotta take what you can get. And I don't know, to be honest, I have zero clue what else to say since we all know they're mid, so yeah, moving on. Next, we have Ocon, and I believe he has the upgrades Gasly had last weekend, but still, P19 in qualifying ain't too hot, especially when you see where Gasly is at. For some reason, Ocon just hasn't looked good for a while now, and this is worrying since remember, he's at Haas next year, and Haas right now are much more better than Alpine, so potential fraud alert? Maybe. But anyways, maybe Ocon still doesn't have the upgrades, but unless something was last minute, which I really couldn't find a source for, then this performance is straight up unacceptable and quite frankly, a little embarrassing. So step it up, man. Finally, we have Albon, and yep, he's finished. 3 weekends in a row where he pisses himself and crashes into someone or something. And my word, what on earth happened? Like the serious teammate allegations were a joke at first, but it seems to be the truth now. He was spanked by Max, he stat padded against Latifi and Sargent, and now he's embarrassing himself when he doesn't have to. Like, why is he doing this to himself? I'm sure he'll regain form soon, but my word, this is not okay. Colapinto really is that guy to not only pull Alex's pants down, but to snatch his chain too. Just yikes from him. Now for the winners, and first up is Ferrari, and hold on, it can genuinely happen. Piastri's in a slump, Max and Lando are killing each other, Sergio Perez, you know, we can stay second by the end of the season and maybe even potentially win the entire thing. Hear me out, Red Bull and McLaren keep screwing up. We just get some nice P3s and P4s and P5s, and hey man, who's to say it can't happen? This race showed off just how good the car is, since while it may not be the fastest, it is a consistent car that can win if the stars align, and that's saying if the car isn't already the fastest. I know I'm definitely high on Copium, but this race's pole and the race results, plus Coda, is giving me hope, so please, leave me alone. Next is Bottas, and even though it wasn't exactly a race to remember in his career, think of the context. The worst car on the grid finally is out of Q1 again. I honestly don't care if he crashed in the weekend and burned down an orphanage, he is still a winner for the simple feat of making that car look somewhat vicious. Like, I can't emphasize just enough how good this accomplishment is, and you know what? If Valtteri gets renewed for Sauber over Colapinto and Bortoleto, I won't be mad. That lap should be in the history books. Next, we have the 6th place duo, and I'm grouping them together since I have the same things to talk about with them. In case you don't know, keep an eye on 6th please. VCarb and Haas are bringing meaningful upgrades that work and make them get ahead and get points. Dare I say this battle is just as entertaining as the battle for first? Like, seriously, the drivers have nothing to lose since most are leaving anyways, so this really is a fight for nothing but glory and balls. Even though Yuki binned it in quali and the race for V-Carb was kinda undone by multiple things, they can still be proud of their progress, and with the Has Dilfs being sexy yet again, please keep an eye on 6th. Finally, we have Gasly, and unlike Ocon, he was cooking yet again. This is a track that Alpine are either really bad at or really good at, and this year, I mean, they aren't bad, but they aren't particularly good. However, like I mentioned before, this weekend seemed very driver dependent, and Gasly was simply that guy. He was cooking, and those upgrades for Alpine seem to really be working miracles and showing the best of the driver, and now you only have to wonder, how could have their season gone had they been this good from the get-go? Anyways, great quali and great race by Tripod, so let's see if he can become a great at the French team now that he is going to be the Alpha Frenchman next year. Now for the bonus categories, and I choose the most dangerous terrorist category, and that obviously goes to Max Verstappen. Man, all you had to do was cook and keep it clean. You were brilliant up until then, but why did you do all of that to Lando? Like, that's just not justifiable in any way. And if you want to see an in-depth analysis on why it's not justifiable, go watch my video I made about the FIA's dumb rules. So that was my winners and losers from the Mexican Grand Prix. Overall, it was a chaotic weekend, which now leaves us with the final race in the triple header, which is again Brazil. I am expecting big things from Brazil, and I'm sure all of you are as well, since even in the boring seasons like in 2023, there was banging racing, and the idea of the peak racing with the tight grid we have right now, oh man, I'm already salivating. Anyways, let us review my predictions I made at the start of the weekend, and starting with my quali predictions, I got these ones pretty wrong. Could have been delusional for once. Now for my race predictions, and I got these ones also pretty wrong. Should have expected Max not to race clean. Finally, for my random prediction, and I got this one half right, since, I mean, Yuki is technically Red Bull, no? Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe since that would greatly help me out, and let me know in the comments who your winners and losers were. And as always, have an amazing day.
Good weather for the duck.